Hi, and thanks so much for tuning in for a session here at Oracle CloudWorld 2022. The title for this session is Practice Makes Good Partnership. This is going to be a brief overview of a new and exciting program we've launched, specifically designed to enable our partners on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure to deliver to you a set of value-added resources and guidance, as well as, and very importantly, direct access to Oracle experts who can advise on migration strategies, deployment models, and really optimizing your business in the cloud. My name is Matt Chivers. I am part of the North America ISV ecosystem team here at Oracle, and I'm responsible for both business development and strategy. So briefly, some of the topics that we'll cover over the course of this session. First, I want to introduce the Oracle at Oracle for ISVs program, as I've mentioned. And as part of that, what I want to do is share some perspective based on our journey to the cloud, in particular, a project that we undertook nearly 3 years ago to migrate the entirety of our industry applications portfolio to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. As part of that, I'll also provide an overview of our approach and our strategy, how we actually went about migrating those applications, results from that migration project. It was a large effort, massively scoped at global scale. So what to this point have been the results from that work? What are the lessons that we've learned, and moreover, the lessons that we would like to impart to partners of ours, and in particular ISVs and SaaS companies? And then finally, I'll close out with an overview of some resources for your success, including information on how you might participate in the Oracle at Oracle program. So the program itself is really predicated on 3 primary objectives or design points. The first is that we want to help partners of ours, as well as prospective partners, benefit from our cloud migration experience. As I mentioned, we undertook a significant effort some time ago to migrate more than 60 enterprise business applications, in many cases applications that are running at scale, performing mission critical functions in large enterprises. The migration of those apps to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and also bearing in mind that these applications were already running in production at scale for nearly 200,000 customers around the world. So really a very significant effort. We also want to advise our partners and prospective partners in terms of optimizing their hosting operations. So how can you similarly take advantage of Oracle Cloud Infrastructure related services and value-added capabilities to improve the performance of your application, over time drive down costs, as importantly in many cases reduce complexity, and then ultimately grow or increase profitability. And then finally, I want to provide some perspective as part of this presentation on accelerating innovation. And again, this is really one of the sort of key design points or objectives for the overall program. So more than just simply migrating your applications to OCI, what are the ways in which over time you can look to implement new capabilities, new services on a continuous basis? And here again, we'll draw from real world examples where we've migrated, as I mentioned, our industry applications portfolio. But as part of the program, we're also able to provide some insight into how we've migrated our Oracle SaaS applications portfolio. So these are our horizontal solutions across areas such as human capital management, ERP, CX, and so on. And then how we've similarly done that in support of our NetSuite business. So really a tremendous amount of experience that we've gained here along the way. And then again, we're very interested in sharing with our partners to similarly enable their success on Oracle Cloud. So at the outset of this project that I'd mentioned, and again, this is looking specifically at our effort to migrate our industry applications portfolio, the scale was huge. We were looking at a global business, so operating more than 80 data centers worldwide, a number of which we had effectively inherited when acquiring certain of these businesses. Over 100,000 physical cores, just to give an indication of the size of the physical infrastructure that we would be migrating, 100 plus networks, and more than 14 petabytes of data. So a large physical plant or footprint to begin with. And then, of course, as we looked at across those environments, we realized that there was also quite a lot of diversity and complexity that we would need to deal with. So it wasn't just multiple applications, but applications that are running different architectures. In certain cases, these were were applications running multi-tenanted architectures that to varying degrees were already purpose-built for SaaS or cloud-based deployments. In other cases, we were looking at legacy single-tenant architectures, so we needed to deal with that sort of complexity. These applications were also running very different technology stacks. As I mentioned, a number of these were assets that had come to Oracle by way of acquisition. So not all of the applications, at least not at the outset, were running an Oracle technology stack. So how do we sort of account for that or manage that? And then varying degrees of cloud maturity. As I mentioned, with respect to application architectures, in some cases, these were business applications designed from the ground up to run multi-tenanted deployments in the cloud, effectively cloud native in a sense, and then single tenant premise-based applications that would require some modernization along the way. And then finally, we recognized that because we were operating across not only multiple geographies, but multiple vertical industries, many of which with them entail fairly stringent compliance or regulatory requirements, we had to ensure that we had those compliance standards all in place. So whether that's HIPAA in healthcare, PCI DSS in retail and other transaction-intensive industries, GDPR in Europe and in many others, that really was a critical requirement. So at a high level, our approach, what were our sort of guiding principles as we look to take the entirety of that industry applications portfolio and migrate it successfully to OCI? First, we recognized that we needed to align on a common set of principles. And essentially what we're trying to balance is velocity or speed. That is speed to get from a current deployment model, whether that's on premises or running in another data center that isn't necessarily running Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. How do we balance our requirement for speed there, right, to bring those applications as quickly across to OCI as possible, while at the same time also recognizing that we want to minimize customer impact. As I mentioned, we were already operating more than 200,000 customers around the world at scale in production. So that was a critical consideration for us. Then we wanted to think about how we would architect for success. So what were some patterns that we could discern that we would see as potentially best practices as we look to, in some cases, either migrate applications as is. In other cases, we might look to modernize those applications as part of the migration process. In other cases, or at least for certain application components, we might look to do full cloud native rewrites so that we were essentially implementing the same functionality on OCI, but with a different code base. How do we manage engineering resources? One of the driving principles here was to really standardize or simplify the underlying stack so that we were running a common set of components across all of the applications. And then moreover, look for opportunities to implement automation, ensure that we are also across that portfolio implementing very stringent security standards, which certainly is a hallmark of Oracle's business and really our legacy. And then finally, getting to launch. So not just migrating the applications over to OCI, our Gen 2 cloud infrastructure, but looking for opportunities to decommission or close down legacy data centers so we can in effect and fairly dramatically shrink our physical footprint, and in doing so operate more efficiently and drive down costs. So I'm going to touch on each of these design principles a bit further, and as I mentioned, we'll eventually round out with resources that are made available to our partners, our prospective partners, to help them do the same. So as we were envisioning this process, again, our key priorities were protecting our existing customers, recognizing the investments that they had already made in Oracle industry applications, and not disrupting their current operations, while at the same time, as I also mentioned, balancing that against the need to move as quickly and as efficiently as possible from those legacy deployment models to our next gen cloud OCI. Be our own customer. This is a really sort of a key design principle for us as well. And in many respects, when we look at our Gen 2 cloud infrastructure, we think of Oracle as customer zero. We recognized very early on that insofar as we have a large portfolio of applications of our own, many of which were designed from the ground up to run in cloud, to run as SaaS applications, We need to design cloud infrastructure that could meet very stringent requirements around performance, scale, security, manageability. So we really look to leverage a lot of those initial learnings as part of this migration process. Removing technical debt, as I mentioned, looking for opportunities to not only cut over to OCI, but also decommission physical assets and data centers that may no longer be required. Adopting modern cloud patterns. So again, looking to take full advantage of new capabilities and services, particularly in terms of infrastructure as a code, looking to implement DevOps and agile development methodologies that we could speed release cycles and really increase the pace of innovation. And then again, really sort of a pervasive goal of ours is to ensure that all these applications, all of the environments are highly secure, and that we are meeting, in many cases, very stringent compliance standards on a per industry and per geography basis. Second sort of key principle for us was around really how to architect the applications and looking for opportunities to move and improve. This is the term that we'll frequently use as we're looking to, as part of a migration, effectively modernize a given application, look to implement new services and capabilities, rather than simply taking that application and lifting and shifting it as is, landing on a new platform, but not otherwise making any changes to that app. And then in some circumstances, as I mentioned, trying to discern where it might actually make more sense to rewrite an application or a particular application module to consume more of the capabilities that are available in cloud, particularly Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and to really consume more in the way of cloud native technologies and services that are available on that same platform. So really what we try to do is pattern match, in a sense. We would look at the current application, its current state architecture, and then we would try to further discern which of these paths or migration strategies would make most sense, and then design or architect accordingly. Some critical engineering goals for us as well. Some of these may seem fairly obvious, but they are also, I think, very important to highlight. So avoiding sunk costs. So not only pivoting to a cloud-based architecture deployment model for all these applications, but looking at ways in which we can similarly take advantage of other cloud-based concepts, commercial concepts, economic concepts, notably including metered usage. So we could get more sort of fine-grained in terms of our resource utilization and efficiency over time. Looking to remove complexity. So the numbers of third-party components that we were reliant upon to run these applications, that was something we were looking to fairly dramatically reduce. And you can see here, we actually reduced by nearly a third the number of external components that were required to run these environments. And again, looking to accelerate the pace of innovation by doing things such as implementing new autonomous capabilities, implementing other value-added services that are available on that same platform, whether that's AI, ML, advanced analytics, cloud integration capabilities, really, again, looking for those opportunities to more fully avail ourselves of all that is possible on Oracle's Gen 2 cloud infrastructure. And of course, driving down expenses, reducing CapEx, as I mentioned, really looking to, in effect, shrink our physical footprint, reducing the numbers of data centers and physical capacity required to power these applications. And as I mentioned just previously, reducing not only the numbers of external or third-party components required of these environments, but on that same basis, significantly reducing the cost of third-party licensing. So these were really some critical objectives for us, and sort of continuing along those same lines in terms of our engineering objectives, looking to automate critical tasks. So there are a number of value-added automation capabilities that are built into not only Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, but a number of the related services, notably including Oracle Autonomous Database, where we are able to, in effect, reduce the administrative overhead, that is the time and effort that you might normally expect an Oracle DBA to spend managing an environment, simply keeping it up and running, patching it, troubleshooting it, upgrading it, reducing that by as much as 80%. So that really is driving material cost savings. And again, it's also helping to further secure the environments because we can ensure that they are reliably patched, tuned, monitored, and so on. So really kind of mitigating the potential for human error. And then cycle time reduction. Again, ensuring that we can not only rapidly provision these environments, but we can actually speed our own development cycles as well. So looking to get new value-added capabilities, features, and functions to market much, much more quickly as we're implementing agile development methodologies on OCI. Security by design, this is a consistent theme for us. We think of security not as a feature or an add-on or an additional SKU, but rather security is something that needs to pervade all the services that we are bringing forward. We see security as something that is, in a sense, turned on by default. So that really is a critical guiding principle for us. And as I said, it really is pervasive at all layers of the stack, not just infrastructure, but when you look at the platform tier as well, some of the other surrounding services and capabilities are all from the ground up designed and developed to be highly secure. And with that, because security is inherent to the services themselves, we believe we're able to deliver more effectively on our commitment to security and compliance without requiring actually as much investment from our customers, from our partners, and even internally from our own lines of business. So briefly to net out our results, this is by no means an exhaustive rendering of all that we've so far achieved. But we really were able to realize some very dramatic improvements in our business. First and foremost, consolidating from 80 worldwide data centers to 11. Again, this is just in support of our portfolio of industry applications. Lowering our actual cloud capacity requirements by 80%, reducing our cloud infrastructure costs by 64%. Again, these are material to our business. We reduced, of course, the numbers of third-party components that we were having to inbound or license to power the environments by nearly a third, from 28 to 10. With that, of course, we were able to drive down expenditures or licensing costs commensurately. And then again, massive improvement in terms of our provisioning time. So ensuring that we could very rapidly instantiate new Oracle Cloud tenancies to deploy the applications, onboard new customers. And as part of that, also ensuring that we could more rapidly deliver new features, functions, and updates to our customers by adopting a more fully cloud-based or SaaS-based delivery model. At a higher level, what have we learned? What is the sort of guidance that we look to impart to our partners, and the sort of guidance that, of course, we can detail much further in live sessions and offline meetings, and very importantly, as part of the Oracle at Oracle for ISVs program. We learned about the need to accelerate migration, but at the same time balance that against potential business impact or customer impact. Particularly if, for example, yours is a mature software business, you likely have another number of live customers today already running in production. How do you ensure minimal disruption to that existing business while also taking advantage of all that Oracle Cloud Infrastructure has to offer? Recognizing that one size does not fit all. There are different migration strategies and patterns that make sense for different types of applications, different architectures. As I commented earlier on, in some cases, as we were inventorying our own portfolio of industry applications, there were decisions that we needed to make around whether to take an existing asset, migrate it as is, perhaps move and improve or modernize that asset or that application as part of the migration process, or in some circumstances, actually look to rewrite applications and application modules. It's critically important to ensure, of course, that when you're taking on this sort of a project, you do have full inline support from your senior executives, from the C-suite. We recognize, of course, as a software company and application provider ourselves, that when you're evaluating a cloud migration project, it's not just about migrating some discrete business process or workload that today is running in your data center. You're actually contemplating migrating the entirety of your customer base, taking your intellectual property, your core competency, your business, and running that on another platform. So it's a very strategic decision, a very strategic investment that you're considering in that case. So ensuring that you have that top line support is of course critical. Focus on the end state. This is something we certainly have learned along the way. The timescales may vary, again, depending on the type of application, the existing architecture that you're looking to migrate, but ensure that you're continually, even after past the point you've completed that initial migration, you're continually focusing on the end state, looking at ways in which you can drive continuous innovation, continue to drive operational efficiencies and cost reduction, not just simply cut over to a new platform and in a sense call it a day. So focus on the end state. Briefly, our goal, our charter is to enable our partners to do the same, to enable their success on Oracle Cloud. And when we think about enabling their success on Oracle Cloud, we don't think of it as just sort of a hypothetical or simply something we recommend or prescribe. It is exactly what we're doing in support of our own business. And in large part, that again is the intent of the Oracle to Oracle program for ISVs, is to externalize that to our partners, to our prospective partners. Often we'll say that there is no hypocrisy in our model. And again, what that means in effect is that we aren't just recommending Oracle Cloud Infrastructure for other software companies. We are consuming Oracle Cloud Infrastructure in support of our global cloud applications business. So again, sort of thinking of Oracle as customer zero in a sense for OCI. Just a brief rendering of some available resources, by no means exhaustive, but I do want to highlight a couple in particular that we see as especially interesting for our ISV partners and for SaaS companies we're working with. The first is Oracle Cloud Lift. This is a service offering launched about 18 months ago that is made available at no charge to customers and partners. And what we're doing with Oracle Cloud Lift is that we're providing direct access to Oracle Cloud engineers, to technical resource on our side to help not only with initial migrations of applications and workloads, but to then further help our customers and partners to optimize the deployment of those on OCI. So looking at opportunities to pull in new value-added services and capabilities where it makes sense, ensure that your applications are at least as performant on OCI as compared to where they may have been running previously, and looking for opportunities to further tune and scale those on OCI as well. So really a very comprehensive engagement model, something I certainly would encourage you to have a closer look at. And then Oracle Support Rewards. We do recognize that significant numbers of the software companies, the SaaS providers with whom we work, have historically run an Oracle stack, many running on Oracle database. We want to recognize the investment that our customers and partners have already made in that Oracle stack. Moreover, we want to help them carry that investment forward to the cloud. So on that basis, we're able to, in effect, decrement from your license support bill and take those dollars and apply them to very cost competitive cloud services. So there's the opportunity to, in a very cost effective manner, start adopting and consuming Oracle Cloud services, while also at the same time reducing or drawing down your current support bill. So that also is a fantastic program that's available if you have an interest in not only evaluating OCI as a platform for your application, but as I'd mentioned, ensuring that you're continuing to get full rate of return on the investment you may have made previously in Oracle software licenses. How can you get started? First and foremost, I would encourage you to learn more about the Oracle to Oracle program. This is simply a brief excerpt. I've included the URL here below where you can get additional detail. There are a number of value-added resources that are available from that same site, including a SaaS migration playbook that in much greater detail goes through our journey I was, of course, only providing a very high-level synopsis of that journey, but if you're looking to understand more fully what we've done, what we've learned, and how that may apply to your business, you can find more of that sort of information there. There is also the opportunity from that same site to request an initial consultation or schedule a call. So I certainly would encourage you to do that if you're interested. And then finally, if either related to Oracle or any other inquiries you may have, I've included my direct email address there as well. It's my full first name, Matthew, matthew.chivers@oracle.com. And with that, I want to thank you once more for tuning in, and would very much look forward to hearing from you.